There's a frequency, a specific vibration that scientists have measured, mystics have chased, and quantum physicists are now confirming can literally restructure the fabric of your reality. Not metaphorically, not eventually. Right now, in this moment, as you're hearing these words. And the most shocking part, you've probably felt it before, without even knowing what it was. That sudden shift when everything just clicks into place. When coincidences stop feeling like coincidences and start feeling like something else entirely. When the universe seems to respond to your thoughts before you even finish thinking them. That's not luck. That's not imagination. That's what happens when you accidentally stumble into this exact frequency. But here's what nobody tells you. Most people spend their entire lives bouncing around it, getting close, feeling glimpses of its power, but never quite locking in. They manifest small things. They experience moments of flow. They catch brief windows where reality feels malleable, and then it slips away. They blame themselves. They think they're doing something wrong. They add more techniques, more rituals, more complexity. When the truth is devastatingly simple, there's a specific frequency where the quantum field becomes responsive, where your consciousness stops being a passive observer and becomes an active creator, where the boundary between what you desire and what you experience dissolves completely. Scientists call it the threshold of coherence. Ancient traditions called it the sacred vibration. Quantum physicists describe it as the collapse point, where possibility crystallizes into reality. But whatever name you give it, the effect is the same. At this exact frequency, your thoughts don't just influence reality, they sculpt it. Your intentions don't just send out wishes into the void, they reorganize matter itself. And your consciousness doesn't just perceive the world, it constructs it, moment by moment, thought by thought. The question isn't whether this frequency exists. The evidence is overwhelming. The question is, why don't more people know about it? And more importantly, how do you access it deliberately, consistently, powerfully? Because once you understand what this frequency actually is, once you know how to tune into it, everything changes. Your manifestations stop being hit or miss. Your reality stops feeling fixed and starts feeling fluid. And you stop hoping things will change and start knowing they will. So what exactly is this frequency? And why does reality itself seem to bend around it? Everything in existence is vibrating. Your body, your thoughts, the chair you're sitting in, the air around you. Even the seemingly solid walls of your room are made of atoms, vibrating at specific frequencies. This isn't philosophy. This is quantum mechanics. And here's where it gets interesting. When two things vibrate at compatible frequencies, they synchronize. Scientists call this resonance. And it's the hidden force behind everything, from how you hear music, to how your heart beats, to how reality itself responds to your consciousness. In the 1950s, a researcher named cymatics proved something remarkable. When you expose water or sand to specific sound frequencies, they don't just react. They organize into precise geometric patterns, change the frequency, and the pattern changes instantly. The matter literally restructures itself to match the vibration. Now think about this. Your body is 70% water. Your brain operates on electrical frequencies that can be measured on an EEG. Every thought you have creates a measurable electromagnetic field around your head, which means you're not just observing reality, you're broadcasting a frequency into it, constantly. Quantum physicists discovered something even more mind-bending. At the subatomic level, particles exist in a state of infinite possibility until they're observed. The very act of observation, of consciousness paying attention, collapses that possibility into a single reality. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about observing. It's about the frequency at which you're observing. Because your consciousness isn't a blank screen passively watching. It's an active field of energy, vibrating at a specific frequency. And that frequency determines which possibilities collapse into your reality and which ones remain invisible to you. Think of it like a radio. The music exists on multiple frequencies simultaneously, but you only hear the station you're tuned to. Change the dial, and suddenly you're experiencing a completely different reality. Different songs, different voices, different information. The other stations didn't disappear. They were always there, You just weren't calibrated to receive them. Your consciousness works the same way. There are infinite possibilities existing right now, in this moment, in the quantum field around you. But you only experience the ones that match your dominant frequency. This is why two people can be in the identical situation and have completely different experiences. Why one person sees opportunities everywhere, while another sees only obstacles. Why manifestation works effortlessly for some and feels impossible for others. They're literally tuned to different frequencies, collapsing different realities from the same quantum field of possibility. And here's the breakthrough. There's one specific frequency that acts as a master key, a frequency that doesn't just attract good things or positive experiences. It's the frequency where reality itself becomes malleable, where the quantum field stops resisting and starts responding. But this wasn't discovered yesterday. Ancient civilizations knew about this frequency thousands of years ago. Walk into any ancient temple, cathedral, or sacred site, and you'll notice something strange. They weren't just built for worship. They were built for sound. The Egyptians constructed the Great Pyramid with chambers that resonate at specific frequencies. Gothic cathedrals were designed so that Gregorian chants would reverberate at exact pitches. Hindu temples were built with precise dimensions to amplify Sanskrit mantras. These weren't accidents. These weren't aesthetic choices. Ancient builders understood something that modern science is only now confirming. Certain frequencies alter consciousness and reorganize reality itself. The Tibetan monks spent centuries perfecting the art of bowl singing, creating instruments that produce frequencies scientifically proven to shift brainwave patterns and induce states where manifestation becomes effortless. Shamanic cultures across the world used drumming at specific rhythms to enter altered states, where they claimed they could communicate with the fabric of reality itself. The ancient Greeks built healing temples around spaces with natural acoustic properties, using sound frequencies to cure illnesses that modern medicine still struggles with. And in every single tradition, across continents and centuries, they kept returning to the same narrow range of frequencies. They called them different names: the frequency, the sacred tone, the voice of God, the cosmic hum. But when modern researchers measured these traditional practices with scientific instruments, they discovered something stunning. These ancient cultures, separated by thousands of miles and centuries of time, had all independently identified the same frequencies, the same vibrational ranges where human consciousness synchronizes with the quantum field, where healing accelerates, where manifestation amplifies, where reality becomes responsive. This wasn't superstition, it was technology. They didn't have EEG machines or quantum physics equations, but they had direct experience. They observed what happened when humans aligned with specific frequencies. They watched how intention became reality faster, how healing occurred spontaneously, how synchronicities multiplied, and they built entire spiritual practices around maintaining that alignment. Then somewhere along the way, we forgot. We replaced frequency with formula. We replaced resonance with ritual. We made manifestation complicated when the ancients had already proven it could be simple. One frequency, one alignment, one quantum key that unlocks everything. But which frequency exactly? What is this precise vibration that bridges ancient wisdom and modern science? What is the exact measurement where reality stops being fixed and starts being fluid? The answer is more specific than you might think, and more powerful than most people are ready to believe. The frequency is 528 Hertz. Scientists call it the love frequency. Molecular biologists call it the miracle tone. Quantum researchers call it the frequency of transformation. But here's what matters. At 528 Hertz, something extraordinary happens at the molecular level. DNA itself begins to repair. Not metaphorically, not energetically. Actual physical DNA strands that have been damaged start to heal and restructure. When exposed to this specific frequency, Dr. Lee Lorenzen, a biochemist, used 528 Hertz to create clustered water with enhanced healing properties. Dr. Glenn Reen proved that 528 Hertz increases DNA repair by up to 29%. This isn't theory. This is measurable, repeatable, scientifically documented reality restructuring. But DNA repair is just the beginning. Because if this frequency can reorganize the fundamental building blocks of your biology, what else can it reorganize? Your thoughts are electrical impulses. Your emotions are chemical frequencies. Your consciousness is an electromagnetic field. And when you align all of these with 528 Hertz, you create what quantum physicists call coherence. Your entire being starts vibrating in harmony. And when you achieve that level of internal coherence, the quantum field around you has no choice but to mirror it back. This is why reality bends at this frequency. Because you're not just thinking positive thoughts or visualizing outcomes. You're literally restructuring the energetic template that your physical reality is built upon. Think of 528 Hertz as the frequency where the quantum field becomes clay instead of concrete, where possibility becomes probable, where intention becomes manifestation. At lower frequencies, you're pushing against reality, trying to force change through willpower and effort. At 528 Hertz, you're flowing with reality, and reality flows back. Here's what happens in your brain when you entrain to 528 Hertz. Your brain waves shift out of beta, the frequency of stress, analysis, and separation, and into alpha and theta, the frequencies of flow, connection, and creation. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that overthinks and doubts, quiets down. Your limbic system, the part that processes emotion and memory, opens up. And your pineal gland, the biological antenna that connects you to quantum information, activates. You literally become a different version of yourself, a version that's coherent, aligned, and resonant with the frequency where miracles aren't exceptions, they're the norm. This explains why people report reality shifts when working with 528 Hertz synchronicities that defy probability, manifestations that appear impossibly fast, healings that doctors can't explain, opportunities that emerge from nowhere. Because at this frequency, you're not operating in ordinary reality anymore. You're operating at the level where reality is still forming, still deciding what it's going to become. And your consciousness, vibrating at 528 Hertz, gets a vote. Actually, it gets more than a vote. It gets authorship. But knowing the frequency isn't enough, because your mind might understand this intellectually, while your body, your emotions, and your energy field are still vibrating at completely different frequencies. The question isn't just what is the frequency? The question is, how do you prove this to yourself? How do you access 528 Hertz so completely that reality has no choice but to respond? A woman named Sarah had been trying to manifest financial abundance for 3 years. Affirmations, vision boards, gratitude journals. Nothing moved. Her bank account stayed stagnant. Then she started listening to 528 Hertz for 20 minutes every morning before work. Within 2 weeks, a former colleague called about a business opportunity she didn't even know existed. Within a month, she had 3 new income streams. Within 3 months, she doubled her annual income. She didn't change her affirmations. She didn't add new techniques. She just changed her frequency. And reality reorganized itself around that new vibration. Or consider the research from Dr. Masaru Emoto, who photographed water crystals exposed to different frequencies. Water exposed to discordant sounds formed chaotic, broken patterns. Water exposed to 528 Hertz formed perfect, symmetrical, beautiful geometric structures. Now remember, you are 70% water. Every cell in your body is responding to the frequencies around you and within you. When you align with 528 Hertz, you're not just thinking differently, you're literally restructuring your cellular composition into a pattern that attracts coherence, health, and manifestation. A man named David used 528 Hertz while recovering from a chronic illness that doctors said would take months to heal. He played the frequency during sleep, during meditation, and throughout his day. His recovery time was cut in half. His doctors were confused. His body had reorganized itself faster than medical science predicted was possible. This isn't isolated. Studies on surgical patients who listened to 528 Hertz during recovery showed reduced inflammation, faster wound healing, and lower pain levels compared to control groups. Reality, physical, biological reality, was bending to match the frequency. Then there are the synchronicity reports. People who start working with 528 Hz consistently describe the same phenomenon. Life starts clicking into place. They think of someone, and that person texts within minutes. They need information, and it appears in their feed immediately. They set an intention, and circumstances align without effort. One person described it as feeling like the universe suddenly learned their language, but it's not the universe learning. It's them finally speaking the universe's native tongue, the language of frequency, the language of vibration, the language where consciousness and reality are the same thing. Skeptics will say it's coincidence, placebo, confirmation bias. But here's the thing about placebo. Even if belief is part of the mechanism, the results are still real. The DNA still repairs. The manifestations still arrive. The synchronicities still multiply. And at a certain point, you stop caring about the explanation and start caring about the experience. Because when you've lived in a reality that feels resistant, and suddenly you're living in a reality that feels responsive, the theory becomes irrelevant. The only question that matters is, how do I stay here? How do I maintain this frequency consistently enough that bending reality stops being a miracle and starts being my natural state? Accessing 528 Hz isn't complicated. In fact, the simplicity is what makes it so powerful. The first and easiest method is direct listening. Find a pure 528 Hz tone, not music layered over it, not binaural beats mixed with other frequencies, just the pure tone. And listen for at least 15 to 20 minutes daily. Use headphones for maximum effect. Your brain will naturally begin to entrain to this frequency, meaning your own neural oscillations will start matching it. This is called frequency following response, and it's automatic. You don't have to force it. You don't have to visualize it. You just have to expose yourself to it consistently. The best time to do this is in the morning, right after waking, when your brainwaves are still in alpha and theta states. Your consciousness is more malleable. Your subconscious is more accessible. Your energy field hasn't yet been disrupted by the chaos of the day. 20 minutes of 528 Hz. During this window, will set your baseline frequency for the next 16 hours. Everything you think, feel, and intend will carry that coherent vibration. You'll move through your day as a walking tuning fork, broadcasting the frequency where reality bends. The second method is active meditation with the frequency. Play 528 Hz in the background while you sit in stillness. Don't force your mind to be blank. Instead, hold a clear intention. See the reality you want as if it already exists. Feel the emotions of that reality as if you're already living it. But here's the key. Don't do this from a place of lack or desperation. Do it from a place of alignment and knowing. The 528 Hz is doing the heavy lifting. It's creating coherence between your intention and the quantum field. Your only job is to stay present with what you want, without resistance, without doubt, without needing to figure out how it will happen. You can also use vocalization, humming, chanting, or toning at 528 Hz. Amplifies the effect because you're not just receiving the frequency, you're generating it. Your vocal cords, your chest cavity, your entire body becomes a resonance chamber. You feel the vibration physically. This creates a feedback loop where your internal frequency and the external frequency synchronize completely. Even 5 minutes of toning can shift your state dramatically. What should you expect? Some people feel it immediately. A sense of calm, a feeling of expansion, a subtle knowing that something has shifted. Others notice it through results. Manifestations accelerate, obstacles dissolve, synchronicities increase. The key is consistency. This isn't a one-time event. This is a recalibration of your default frequency. The more time you spend at 528 Hz, the more it becomes your natural state. And the more it becomes your natural state, the less you have to effort for reality to respond. It just does. Automatically, naturally, inevitably. Think of it like learning a new language. At first you have to consciously practice, but eventually you start thinking in that language. You dream in it. It becomes who you are. The same thing happens with 528 Hz. At first you access it deliberately, but with consistency, you become it. And when you become the frequency where reality bends, your entire life transforms into proof. You started this journey with a question. What is the exact frequency where reality bends? Now you know. 528 Hertz isn't just a number. It's a doorway, a quantum key, a vibrational bridge between who you've been and who you're becoming, between the reality you've been tolerating and the reality you're capable of creating. And the most beautiful part? You don't have to believe it works. You just have to experience it. Because belief is something you think. Frequency is something you become. Imagine waking up 30 days from now in a reality where manifestation isn't a struggle, it's a conversation, where synchronicities aren't rare, they're constant, where your thoughts don't just influence your life, they architect it. That's not fantasy. That's what happens when you live at 528 Hertz consistently. Your entire energetic signature changes, and when your signature changes, the quantum field has no choice but to rewrite your story. This isn't about adding more to your spiritual practice. It's about simplifying down to what actually works. One frequency, 20 minutes a day, consistent alignment. That's the formula the ancients knew, science has proven, and you now have access to. You're not learning something new. You're remembering something ancient, something that's been waiting inside you, dormant, until this exact moment. So here's your invitation. Stop searching for the next technique, the next secret, the next missing piece. You've found it. The frequency is 528 Hertz. The method is simple. The results are inevitable. All that's left is the decision. Will you stay in the reality you've known, or will you tune into the frequency where reality bends? Because once you feel it, once you experience what it's like to live in coherence with the quantum field, there's no going back. You won't want to. You'll finally be home, in the frequency where miracles aren't magic. They're just physics, and you're the one conducting the symphony.